Marginal grazing country, like much of the Desert Uplands, is a challenge at the best of times. When David and Donna Rankine bought Bunuro nearly 20 years ago, it was even more of an uphill battle in the uplands. More than half the 76,000-acre property was deemed unusable because of poison weed.
There's roughly 40,000 acres of heartleaf compared to 30,000 acres of spinifex, bluegrass, kangaroo grass country.
The Rankines had to think outside the box, and 20 years down the track have turned the tables on traditional wisdom and have increased production efficiency on their breeder block manyfold. But it's been a long haul.
That was practically undeveloped. There was 5 dams and a bore, and the bore just had a 500 metres of poly pipe offered into a small waterhole. When we came here, we've since improved that to 90 kilometres of 63 mil poly. There's 50, nearly 60 watering points and 23 paddocks over the property, and we run a rotational grazing system here with breeders.
David Rankine set about fencing off the 30,000 acres that was free of heartleaf. And then something happened that improved the carrying capacity considerably.
When we struck the first dry year, all we could do was open gates out into that unimproved area. The closest water in the neighbour's property was 30 kilometres away, so we figured they'd probably be right. Anyway, the first storm saw sort of 300 or 400 head missing, and we located them on a neighbour's water 35 kilometres away. Anyway, we gathered them all back without problem, and then realised after that year that there was a future in grazing the heartleaf area. So we fenced the boundary and have slowly developed that area since. This is heartleaf, which is a fluoroacetate poison, the same as poison gidgee, ironwood, all have the similar poison. It is toxic to cattle when they consume it. The little flowers, which that's a dried out flower. There were some seed pods on the last one we looked at, and the seed pods are actually 50 times more poisonous than the leaf.
Finding that heartleaf could be managed with grazing practices, the Rankines started to develop the previously considered useless country.
So we're now down to about a beast of 30-35 acres, and with the rotational regime we have in place, I think it's more sustainable than what it appeared to be when we first came here.
The 1 beast to 35 acres the Rankines achieve with rotational grazing is a far cry from the Desert Uplands norm of a beast to 75 acres.
By rotational grazing, it's very easy to see what's happening. You only have to look ahead at what paddocks are in front of you and back into the ones you've moved out of, and you can soon see how much grass you've got compared to set stocking rate.
Bunuro is fenced into 23 paddocks, averaging 4,000 acres in the heartleaf country and 2,000 acres in the better areas.
And we move through them 3 times a year.
The rotational cycle means the cattle graze each paddock 3 times a year, each grazing period lasting for about 1 week.
Every paddock literally gets a wet season spell every year without intentionally locking it up or wasting the feed. If there's rain while the cattle are in the paddock or just after they move out, well, that's got time to reach the seed head before they come back. So we've got up to 2,000 head in one mob, going through paddocks from 2,000 to 4,000 acres. So within a week, they graze those paddocks quite substantially.
This approach has produced an increase in diversity of grass species and improvement in nutrition that has given the Rankines almost double the original carrying capacity. Water reticulation follows fence lines, water delivered to stock through station-built troughs.
At max, they've got 4 kilometres to walk along. Normally, we just start them up on a horse or a motorbike and head them in the right direction.
Bunuro is run as a breeder block, with weaner steers usually going into agistment.
We generally send our weaner steers to the downs south of Hughenden if it's available, and there we can expect between 400 and 800 grams a head a day over a 12-month period. I think 800 is about the best we've done.
The Rankines don't wean traditionally and use weaner boards that allow the weaners to run with their mothers. The runs are on the board at Bunuro, and in spite of the challenges of marginal grazing land, David Rankine believes he is on the right track.
So that is a very strong incentive to carry on with what we're doing.
Industry, government and Desert Channels Queensland support the grazing industry in managing for change and a sustainable future on the rangelands.